What is up, everyone, and welcome to another edition of The Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, giving you commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. Thank you guys so much for watching this channel. Tonight's episode of NXT was filled with a few shockers tonight. Oba Femi was so mad about the Retribution and Shield ripoff that attacked him at NXT Vengeance Day that he almost forgot to do his strut on the way to the ring. That's how pissed off he was. But he came out to the ring and he called out the Retribution fake Shield wannabes to the ring. They're probably from LFG for all I know and care. But in any event, moving on, he called them out, but we were met with a huge surprise being Moose. I never thought I didn't think I would. They say never. I honestly didn't think that we would be hearing Moose in WWE or WWE NXT, but we got Moose on NXT facing off with Oba Femi. And that, I thought Trick Williams versus Oba was a dream match. This right here, oh my God, oh my goodness. This is something I got to see. Speaking of things we're going to see from Moose, we found out that next week Moose is going into Cincinnati because next Tuesday WWE is going to be in Cincinnati, Ohio. And that is going to be Moose versus Lexis King, son of Brian Pillman, for the UK Heritage Cup Championship, which is actually a trophy. But that's going to happen next week. And Moose is no stranger to not being popular. So him being booed out of Cincinnati, Ohio will come familiar to him since he's used to being a heel anyway. But that's next week. Speaking of things that'll also happen next week, we found out that the Hardy Boys were challenged to come to NXT on Tuesday. We thought those guys from the group that Lexis King defeated, we thought they were going to challenge Axiom and Fraser, but they challenged the Hardy Boys, who are the TNA Tag Team Champions. May I just say, I'm very happy to see Jeff Hardy doing well and doing okay and in a good spot in his career. I'm really happy to see that. He's coming back to WWE TV next week. Due to personal issues, obviously he left WWE. Then he had issues with AEW. Now he's back in TNA. And it's working well for him. I'm really glad he's doing okay. And I can't wait to see him next week on NXT TV. So I'm glad to see that Jeff Hardy and the Hardy Boys are doing well. I'm looking forward to that match next week. Although I would love to see Axiom and Fraser versus the Hardy Boys. I think that's going to be a good tag team match. Speaking of tag teams, Zarya and Sol Ruka defeated Metaphor. Surprised me. By the way, I don't know if anyone noticed, but Zarya uses the F5. I meant to say that last week, but I didn't. Zarya uses the F5. We saw Ricky Starks, now known as Ricky Saints, because you got to halfway change your name when you come to WWE and leave other companies, just like Kevin Owens did. Kevin Owens used to be known as Kevin Steen in Ring of Honor. He's known as Kevin Owens in WWE. However, he's still the same guy who likes to be friends with Sami Zayn and then beat up Sami Zayn using that powerbomb. He has been doing this to Sami since their days in Ring of Honor when Sami Zayn was wearing a lucha mask. So these guys their dysfunctionality goes way back to Ring of Honor. Now, moving forward, back to the matter at hand. We have Ricky Saints going up to sign the contract only to be disrupted by Ethan Page, who gets disrupted by Javon Evans, who is not finished with him, in the words of Braun Breaker. So we're going to get a tag team match that I'm looking forward to. Ricky Saints and Javon Evans versus Ethan Page and Wesley. That's going to be awesome as well. We had a triple threat match between who were Carmen with the sword versus two of my favorite female wrestlers from NXT, Kalani Jordan and Miss Parker. Of course, Miss Parker made the mistake of showing off way too much, and Carmen came in and got the victory. Of course, after that, Fatal Influence came in and attacked Carmen, while Ashante just stood there. Let me tell you, if you are dating somebody like Ashante, leave. And of course, this would lead to Stephanie Vaquer and Julia coming out with Jordan Grace, who is now a part of the NXT roster. That would lead to the main event that we got tonight with Fakir, Julia, and Jordan Grace taking out Fatal Influence, rightfully so. So just when we thought we ended the night well, we find out that the Retribution Shield wannabes, who are probably the remains of LFG, came in and attacked what I perceived to be Mr. Chase, who had already lost to Eddie Thorpe that night. Speaking of, Trick Williams is not done. I want to see Trick Williams kick Eddie Thorpe's butt. By the way, in the words of CM Punk, Thorpe is not even my favorite Eddie. He's my third favorite Eddie. And if you know what t-shirt I have, you know who my first favorite Eddie is. But moving forward, that's all time I have for you today. Let me know your thoughts on tonight's episode of NXT. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, and that's all time I have for you today. And I will be back with another review on all things wrestling, and I am looking forward to NXT next week. See you there.